When a lot of people see my YouTube channel, they expect West Virginia videos. No, I'm a West Virginia fan that does college football videos. Right now, I'm in the middle of my season predictions, and today I am doing Virginia Tech and West Virginia. So today is a West Virginia video, along with Virginia Tech, whatever. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day. Don't forget to check out my friends at Tri-State Wood Sketch. All you have to do is send him a picture, and he'll turn it into a beautiful piece of art on wood. Check out his website at www.tristatewoodssketch.com. Tell him Golden Blue Dude sent you, and you'll get 20% off. Right now, I'm in the middle of my season predictions for the 2021 college football season. I've done 24 teams so far, and today I'm doing Virginia Tech and West Virginia. I'll do the game prediction at the end of the video, but right now I want to do the season predictions for both Virginia Tech and West Virginia. Let's start off with Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is hard to tell. You just never know. They do have some talent, but they're trending in a downward direction. Even the head coach, Justin Fuente, he is questioning himself right now. Last year, the Hokies suffered a second losing season under head coach Justin Fuente. He has some pretty good talent over there. He just can't figure out the right formula to put out a good Hokie team out there. Quarterback Hendon Hooker, he transferred to Tennessee. That should tell you something right there. And only 2 starters on the offensive line are back. And 2 of the 3 offensive linemen that are gone left via the transfer. Not a good sign for Virginia Tech. Here's a look at their offense. Well, first, last year they finished 5-6, 8th in the ACC because there were no divisions. They averaged 31.1 points per game and averaged 440.7 yards a game. Good enough for 43rd in the nation, so not a terrible offense. This year, their quarterback most likely will be Braxton Burmeister. In limited action, he was 48 for 85, 56.5%, threw for 687 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 1 interception. He is a dual threat quarterback. 47 carries for 193 yards, that's 4.1 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns. Virginia Tech's run game might be okay, so. Here's a look at their running backs. Running back Jalen Halston, 40 carries for 189 yards, that's 4.7 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns. Running back Raheem Blackshear, 68 carries for 255 yards, 3.8 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns. Now let's take a look at their passing game, which I think is their strong suit on the offense. As usual, guys, there will be some names on these rosters that are a little tricky. I probably will mispronounce some names. Starting with tight end James Mitchell, 26 receptions for 435 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now the wide receiving core. Wide receiver Tavion Robbins, 38 receptions for 592 yards, 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Trey Turner, 34 receptions for 529 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Caleb Smith, 8 receptions for 88 yards and 1 touchdown. An incoming 4-star recruit, wide receiver Jaden Payout. He's 6'2", 195 pounds. An incoming 3-star recruit, wide receiver Dallin Wright. He's 6'1", 170 pounds. I think Virginia Tech's offense will be middle of the pack. Nothing great, but not terrible. Now let's look at their defense. Last year, Virginia Tech was in an adjustment period as far as the defense goes because longtime defensive coordinator Doug Foster retired. The big question is, can the defense bounce back from a bad year last year? Last year, they allowed 32.1 points per game. That's 82nd, not good, and allowed 447.5 yards a game. So they allowed more points than what they scored, and they allowed more yards than what they gained. That's a bad recipe. Here's a look at their defense. I think their front 7 will improve slightly this year, starting with the defensive line. Defensive end Amari Barno, 43 tackles, 28 by himself, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 pass deflections. Defensive tackle Norrell Pollard, 28 tackles, 13 by himself, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. The Clemson transfer. Defensive tackle Jordan Williams, 7 tackles, 4 by himself. Defensive end Emmanuel Bellman, 9 tackles, 4 by himself, and 3 sacks. Linebacker Alan Tisdale, 59 tackles, 21 by himself, 1 pass deflection. Linebacker Dax Hollyfield, 52 tackles, 21 by himself, 1.5 sacks, 2 pass deflections. Nickelback Chamari Connor, 81 tackles, 60 by himself, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions, and 4 pass deflections. Last year, Virginia Tech's secondary wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. Virginia Tech really needs this group to step up and lock down the opposing team's passing game. Starting with the cornerbacks. Cornerback Jermaine Waller. Last year, he had 10 tackles, 8 by himself. Cornerback Dorian Strong, 22 tackles, 18 by himself, 1 interception, and 5 pass deflections. Free safety Devin Taylor, 55 tackles, 36 by himself, 2 interceptions, and 4 pass deflections. The Vanderbilt transfer. Strong safety Tay Daly, 57 tackles, 35 by himself, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions, and 2 pass deflections. Virginia Tech's main goal for this year should be to show improvement, get to a bowl, and we'll see if that's enough to save Justin Fuente's job, especially with this very challenging schedule. Here's a look at Virginia Tech's 2021 football schedule. First, they get North Carolina at home. That's a tough game to start. It is at home, but North Carolina is way better. That's a loss. Then they get Middle Tennessee. That's a win. Then the road trip to West Virginia. I'll predict that at the end of the video. Then they get Richmond at home. That's a win. Then their bye week. Notre Dame at home. Loss. Pitt at home. Loss. Syracuse at home. Win. At Georgia Tech. They will be much improved, much better. Loss. At Boston College. Another loss. Then they get Duke at home. Win. At Miami. Loss. At Virginia. Loss. Virginia could be a sleeper in the Coastal. I'm telling you right now. That is a tough stretch to end the year for Virginia Tech. 4 of their last 5 games are on the road. So depending on the West Virginia prediction, I'm predicting Virginia Tech to go either 4-8 or 5-7. Not looking good, Virginia Tech. Now let's look at West Virginia. Their preseason ranking is 33rd. Last year they finished the season 6-4, 6th in the Big 12. Last year West Virginia took a step forward under head coach Neil Brown. This year they returned 14 starters, and they're looking to take another step forward in 2021. Quarterback Jarrett Daggy is being listed as a top 25 quarterback this year, and having an actual quarterback battle with Garrett Green and Will Crowder should help to elevate Daggy's play on the field. The offensive line should actually be a strength for the offense this year. Usually they're a liability. They're going to be really good this year. They're adding 4-star recruit Wyatt Millam. The only reason he didn't get the 5 stars because they ran out of 5 stars before they got to him. They're also adding Virginia transfer Jaquay Hubbard and highly touted Virginia Tech transfer Doug Nestor. Here's a look at West Virginia's offense. Last year they averaged 26.5 points per game, 82nd in the nation. That's not good. They averaged 412.6 yards a game. The starting quarterback should be Jarrett Daggy. Last year he was 239 for 374. That's 63.9%. Threw for 2,587 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. West Virginia once again will be strong in the run game, all because of running back Letty Brown. Last year he had 199 carries for 1,010 yards, averaged 5.1 yards a carry, and 9 touchdowns. Now let's look at West Virginia's passing game. I think this will improve greatly this year. Starting with tight end Mike O'Loughlin, 15 receptions for 137 yards and 1 touchdown. Now the wide receiving core. Wide receiver Bryce Ford Wheaton, 27 receptions for 416 yards, 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Winston Wright Jr., 47 receptions for 553 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Sam James, 31 receptions for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Incoming 4-star, highly touted recruit, wide receiver Caden Prather. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. Could eventually earn a starting spot at the wide receiver position. Wide receiver Sam Brown, 8 receptions for 92 yards. Wide receiver Reese Smith, 11 receptions for 128 yards. And wide receiver Sean Ryan, 25 receptions for 264 yards. So West Virginia does have playmakers at the wide receiver position, and the wide receiving core is super deep. Now let's look at West Virginia's defense. Last year, West Virginia had the #1 pass defense. West Virginia's defense did take a hit though, losing defensive lineman Darius Stills and linebacker Tony Fields. Also, safety Tyke Smith and cornerback Drayshawn Miller transferred. However, West Virginia has a ton of talent and experience coming back on that side of the ball. Last year, they allowed 20.5 points per game. That's 21st in the nation, and allowed 291.4 yards a game. Not many defenses can say that they allow less than 300 yards a game. Last year, the defense was managed more by a committee. This year, it will be up to defensive coordinator Jordan Leslie. Here's a look at West Virginia's front 7, starting with the defensive line. Defensive end Taj Austin. He had 1 solo tackle and 1 forced fumble. Defensive tackle Hakeem Mesidor. 32 tackles, 20 by himself, 5 sacks. Defensive tackle Dante Steels. 35 tackles, 15 by himself, 2 sacks, and 2 pass deflections. Now the linebacking core. Linebacker Vandarius Cohen. 17 tackles, 17 by himself, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Linebacker Josh Chandler Semedo. 64 tackles, 32 by himself, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, and 1 pass deflection. Linebacker X-Ree Lowe. 46 tackles, 27 by himself, 1 forced fumble, and 1 pass deflection. And linebacker Scotty Young. 4 tackles, 3 by himself. Even though Tyke Smith and Drayshawn Miller are gone, the secondary shouldn't be a weakness for West Virginia. They have a ton of depth and excellent talent and experience. Starting with their cornerbacks. They got the Illinois State transfer, quarterback Charles Woods. Last year he had 2 interceptions. Cornerback Jackie Matthews. Last year he had 3 solo tackles. Quarterback Nick Troy Fortune. 35 tackles, 26 by himself, 1 interception, and 2 pass deflections. Free safety Alonzo Ade. 66 tackles, 38 by himself, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions, and 5 pass deflections. Strong safety Sean Mahone. 53 tackles, 33 by himself, 1 interception, and 4 pass deflections. Don't forget about defensive back KJ Martin. West Virginia fans have forgotten about him because he sat out the 2020 season. But in 2019, he had 50 tackles, 38 by himself, and 5 pass deflections. West Virginia's defense might not be quite as good as what it was last year, but it still should be top 25. And I think the offense is poised to be much better than it was last year. I do expect West Virginia to take another step forward in 2021. In 2019, I predicted West Virginia to have 3 to 5 wins. They ended up with 5. And in 2020, pre-COVID, I predicted West Virginia to go 7-5. They ended up going 6-4. So I'm very confident with my West Virginia predictions. Here's a look at the 2021 West Virginia football schedule. They start off the season with a tricky road game to Maryland, but I still think it's a win. They get Long Island at home. That's a win. They get Virginia Tech at home. I'll predict that here in just a minute. Then at Oklahoma. That's a loss. Texas Tech at home. Win. At Baylor. Win. Then they get their bye week. At TCU. Loss. TCU could be a dark horse in the Big 12 this year. Iowa State at home. Loss. Oklahoma State at home. Win. At Kansas State. Win. Texas at home. Win. At Kansas. Win. So depending on that Virginia Tech prediction, I have West Virginia going either 8-4 or 9-3. Now time for the actual game prediction. Virginia Tech at West Virginia. This game being in Morgantown is a huge advantage for West Virginia. This is one of those great rivalries that West Virginia and Virginia Tech fans have been missing. The only rival that West Virginia fans like to play more than Virginia Tech is Pitt. I think West Virginia's defense will be able to easily stop Virginia Tech's offense. And West Virginia's offense is going to take a big step forward this year. I think West Virginia wins this game. My final score prediction for this game is West Virginia 35, Virginia Tech 20. It might be close throughout the first, maybe the second quarter, but West Virginia's depth, as well as their talent and experience, and this game being in Morgantown, will wear the Hokies out. This game will send Virginia Tech in a downward direction and will propel West Virginia in an upward direction. So that means I have Virginia Tech finishing the season 4-8. And most likely, Justin Fuente will get fired at the end of the 2021 football season. With that win, I have West Virginia going 9-3, a big step forward in the Big 12. I think West Virginia will finish either 3rd or 4th in the Big 12, depending on what TCU does. West Virginia has a bright future at the quarterback position. Garrett Green and Will Crowder are looking great, and Neil Brown went out and got another 4-star quarterback, and he's looking to try to get West Virginia a top 25 recruiting class for the first time since 2009. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.